Okay. There we go. Very good. So welcome, Carleen Sutton.
Hi, how are
How are
you?
you?
All
And,
right.
and welcome everyone to another chapter of Renew Your Spirit. I'm Lynn Gaffin, and today we are speaking with Carleen Sutton. And want to find out today quite a bit about you, Carleen. So be prepared to talk about yourself.
Okay. Okay.
First of all, where you live? Where are you now? Where are you?
I live in Niantic,
Okay.
Connecticut. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you, um, when I asked about uh, to send something about who you are and what you did, you said that you have searched all around and you came up with that you were interested in witchcraft, paganism, and druidry.
That's correct.
That's
Also, Hindu, Buddhism. Sorry about the dog.
yeah. Now that's great. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you because I like to find out about the different types of belief systems out there, and you know, the one side there's not a one size fits all.
No, there isn't. And
So
I
yeah.
find the same thing. I mean, that's why I incorporate so many different
Hmm.
beliefs because I have so many different interests.
Very good. Tell me about your journey, how you got to where you are.
Hang on a second. Try to minimize some of that from the puppy. um, when I was growing up, I was having very vivid dreams. That I was at the bottom of an ocean, that I was in another land, in another country, and my father was interested in the paranormal, which I have beyond an interest in. Um, and I was always like, why? And I've always questioned everything,
Mhm.
which Buddha tells you question everybody and everything as well as your master or teacher. Always question, which I did from a very young age, which really got me into a lot of hot water,
Yeah,
truthfully.
I understand it.
It got me into a lot of hot water because it's like, well, why does God have to be a man?
Yeah.
Why can't it be a woman? Which kind of like led me down another path. It's like a maze,
Hmm.
to see, where you are, what you're doing. And I've always questioned and always wondered and always kept an open mind about things and the environment around me. I love
Hmm.
nature. I love the moon. I love the sun and Mother Earth. I also take a lot from Native American as well, because Native American and paganism kind of incorporate
Hmm.
in a lot of respect. So,
So, what brought you to? Well, let's take them one at a time. What
okay.
brought you to witchcraft?
It's a funny story. I was working at the casino. I worked at Foxwoods, and I was talking to a friend of mine who was into paganism, and we would talk about it periodically. I would go get a couple of books. I'd read some of the books, and I'd be like, "Wow, this is cool." I'm like, "Do I want to take that leap?" Finally, one day, I worked as a janitor. I was pushing my trash trolley into the trash compactor room, and somebody had made a very big pentacle on the trash compactor.
Oh,
And I'm like, wow, that's got to be a sign. So I started engrossing myself more into it. And then I found a wonderful pagan shop, Mystical Horizons. And they've helped me with different books, different things. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And it kind of answered a lot of the questions as I was growing up and
okay,
why I was feeling the way I was feeling.
okay. So that's paganism.
That's paganism.
Paganism. Now, what is there about paganism that we don't know? Because generally, when we think of paganism, it's very basic. It's very It goes back to primordial.
Historic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes way back. It goes back to the beginning where
Mhm.
we were, you know, in touch with Earth, in touch with the Mother Earth. She provided for us. The sun, the moon, you know, they were there for a reason. We would worship them and say, hey, we need rain. We talk to the rain clouds. Um, it goes way back. It goes back to, you know, where we would just be part of the earth and working with the earth. And we've gotten away from that in a lot of ways, which is really sad.
Now, are there groups that meet?
Yes. Oh
Are
yeah,
there?
we meet on our a lot of our holidays are off seasons of yours. Like Christmas is our Yule, Halloween is our Samhain,
Hmm.
Beltane, Lusada, and so forth. They're all our holidays. So they're kind of offset, but they were more toward the calendars before that.
Okay. Okay. Now, what are groups of pagans called? I know witchcraft, they have covens. What do pagans
We
have?
call them covens. We have
Oh,
the one group that I'm in, but because of COVID, we've just kind of Zoom,
right.
which I work those days. Um, we were it's called the Well-Worn Path. They basically different branches of the religion because we have Druidism, we have covens, you know, all of that. We all gather and we all celebrate in our own belief system, but
Okay.
it's just a gathering.
Okay. So now druids and pagans and witchcraft, they all gather together?
Yeah,
Good. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. There's a bunch of groups. Some groups won't incorporate others. We have the same
Hmm.
similar mentality as some, Catholics only celebrate with Catholics,
Right. Okay.
um, so forth and so forth. We do that as well. There are groups out there like that.
Okay. So what basically are druids?
They're more earth based. They're more into taking care of Mother Earth, using herbs, um, you know, communicating with the trees, the grass, the animals, the bugs, the birds, everything. And we more incorporate all of that into Druidism.
I know there's a web page that or a Facebook page that I've liked. And I've been getting theirs on Druidry and that. It's really quite interesting. They really have a lot of interesting information that comes along that is a lot of what I believe, and it's because it's natural. It's all
Hmm.
natural law,
Yep,
and it all has to do with nature and that, and I think that's wonderful. Yeah, I love that idea.
it is. And it's a way of getting back into taking care of Mother Earth and taking care of her animals and her creatures and her beings. It's just taking care of her because she takes care of us on this planet.
Hmm. Okay.
And that's something we all need to go back to, you know.
Now, what about witchcraft? Now, witchcraft gets a bad rap.
We do, and that's a lot of Hollywood. I've seen some shows that I'm looking at it going, are you kidding me? Seriously. We do we do chants, we do spells, we do candle magic, we do wind magic, we do that. But our greatest motto is do as thy will but harm none. And that's our biggest motto is harming none.
Okay.
You can't go and put a because it's tomorrow's Valentine's Day, let's say you want to put a love spell on somebody. You can't do that
Yeah.
because it's going to backfire and it's called karma,
Hmm.
which karma is going to come back at you threefold. So you
Hmm.
put out good, you don't put out bad. But we do get a very bad rap from Hollywood because they have no concept of it.
Hmm. Now, is there a difference between, is there black witchcraft and white witchcraft?
That's there are people out there that do practice Satanism. I personally haven't met any of them. Well, no, actually, I think I did once. But if you, I felt you feel the energy off of the person, so you kind of get it like, you don't want to deal with him. They are out there, and I avoid them. And we've had a few issues in our group where we've had a few people that were kind of like a little on the darker side. But for the most part, you avoid them. They're out there. They have their own little things, their own ways of doing things. I've never really explored that because it's never been an interest of mine. You just kind of like, okay, you do your thing, I'll do mine.
Mhm. Now, when you meet, when you can meet together outside of Zoom, do you have do you have services or get-togethers, or what is your
Um,
format?
we meet in a circle because circle's never ending.
Mhm.
We have song. We kind of like. I took my son one time to a circle, and he's like, "Mom, it's just like church almost, except you guys are outside with a nice little fire pit, and we're praying towards for our ancestors, Mother Earth, our spirit guides. We're praying for them and to them, to the gods and goddesses, instead of just the one God."
Mhm.
So we kind of basically have the same thing you guys have. That's why I can kind of walk in the different worlds of, I can go to a church. I love churches. They're beautiful places. Um, some of the stuff, kind of like, that doesn't make sense to me, but hey, that's what your belief is.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but we meet kind of the same way. We do the same thing you guys do.
And do you have separate meetings for the different groups, or do you meet all as one?
The one group that I'm in, we all kind of meet together. But there are other groups out there that meet, differently. Um, there's a whole bunch of groups that meet everywhere.
Okay.
That, there's groups that are for Crohn's. When you hit a certain age, I'm basically in the Crohn phase now of my life because we have maiden, mother, and Crohn. They all have their own little group, which I just joined on Facebook. So, which is really nice to have older witches kind of like sharing different things. But we're pretty
Uh,
much
uh,
a lot alike.
how big are your groups?
It depends. Sometimes they're very small, sometimes they're very big. It's pretty much like you guys. We're big or small depending on who can go, who has the day off, things like that.
So would you say that there are a lot of people that belong to the different groups around? I
You'd
mean,
be you'd be very surprised how many people in a lot of different places. There are a lot of us around there. There's a
really?
lot of us out here. Um, Even in high volume jobs, high like CEOs, doctors, lawyers. We're all out there. We are. Sorry, my dog again. We're everywhere. We are everywhere. We're police officers. We're fire departments. We're never think that we're not there because somebody in a group is there. We're
Wow.
everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Do you what was I going to say? If someone were interested in something like this, how did people find out about you?
Well, right now we have social media. Um, Facebook is always a good way of doing it. Or if you happen to, like, I'm at my job now, and I saw a girl. She was wearing a pentacle, which is our kind of like you guys like a cross. Is a pentacle for us. And she had the horned god on it, which everybody depicts as the devil, a symbol of the devil, but it's the horn, it's our horned god. And I said, "Oh, I love your horned god." And she goes, "Oh, wow." Just things like that. It's just kind of like you see somebody and you're like, "Oh, kind of like, we're not a lot different from, Christians getting together and saying, 'Oh, hey, hey, have you seen this church?' Or, 'Hey, have you talked about this god or this goddess?'" We're pretty
Now,
much.
what drew you to this from, did you, when you were younger growing up, did you come from an Orthodox religion?
My
Or,
parents, my parents were very lax on religion. I think in the 70s, that dates me, we kind of went to a Protestant church for a little while, and I was more intrigued with the kind of spirits that were there than pretty much what was going on in the whole religion thing. So my parents were very slacked in religion. So but my father, like I said, he was interested in paranormal, history, ghosts, things, the pyramids, all of that. So UFOs, which is another big thing for me. He was interested in that. So I kind of saw a lot of that. And I'm like, that makes sense to me. And that's, we're kind of ignorant to think that things like that don't happen,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know?
So what was the progression? How did you?
I just kept questioning authority, questioning people, talking, exploring different things that were out there and finding out, hey, this clicks, this feels right to me. I've gone to other different churches. I've gone to one where they spoke in tongues. I've gone to a group that um, they they did a healing circle, which is another awesome thing to do. I do Reiki. Like I said on my bio there, I'm going to be talking to Fred about doing some bowl singing and things of that nature. But it was a progression of talking to different people, reading different things, exploring and learning and saying, hey, this is what's clicking with me.
So what would you consider yourself as? If you
Open
had,
minded.
okay. Okay. So
Open
if I
minded.
say you had to name one, what would it be?
A humanitarian.
Oh,
Humanitarian. I love the earth. I love animals. You know, I believe there's more things out there in the world that we can't even begin to
oh, absolutely.
understand.
Yeah.
Um, and that's more of where that's where I feel comfortable and I feel at my best.
Hmm. Now, how often do the groups meet?
We meet during our seasons, during when we could meet together. We would meet during Lusada, we would meet during Beltane, um, which I put it somewhere. I made a list, so I don't always remember everything. We
I know
have Yule.
Samhain is Halloween. Yeah.
Right, that's correct. Samhain is Halloween, and it's actually like where the veil between the worlds,
Yeah.
and it goes on longer than actual Halloween, but it's
Yeah.
where the veil is the thinnest. But if you kind of like ride in the veil, and you can kind of do whatever you want. But we have a star Melbum, which we have the equinoxes as well. The summer, winter
Now, what is
equinox.
Astara? I've heard of that.
The pentagram,
The Astara.
Astara, that is, it's basically the wheel of the year. And the wheel turns each time the earth
Okay.
rotates. So that's what it is. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Stara is spring equinox,
Okay.
and Beltane is the May Eve, Imbolc is Candelabras. I probably don't say that correctly. And then Yule is the winter solstice. So, I mean, we celebrate the solstices. We celebrate the turning of the wheel, which is the turning of the year.
Okay, now do you have a leader for each one of these? For each
Um,
group?
in our groups, we have either a high priest or a high priestess. Um, they rotate. In the group that I joined, we take turns being the high priest, the high priestess. And it's not all up to one person. We decide on what we want to do for a ceremony, and then we would put it together. We meet at one person's house who is designated that group, where we would kind of like a church,
Mm.
per se. We would meet at her house. We would set up the altar because we have an altar, for whatever season or whatever celebration we're having. But we take turns. Some groups do stick to one high priest, one high priestess until they move, they change their mind or they want to move forward.
Okay. So does each group, I mean, like paganism or druidry, do each one of those have a high priestess, or are they all mingled together?
I haven't really gone to any druid groups, um, but pretty much, they do whatever their thing is, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they do have a high priest and a high priestess. They may call them differently, or they have a figure for a god and a figure for a goddess.
Okay. So you're not really involved in the druidry as much as you are.
No, but I'm more of,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm more
Yep.
solitary in a lot of some things.
Okay.
I'm more solitary,
Okay.
which is something that is also another kind of a branch of people that don't go to the circles or anything. They'll practice their own form of witchcraft, their own circles, their own solitary belief system.
Okay.
So they're out there as well.
So the solitary, are they, you do it yourself or do you do it in a group?
You do it yourself.
yourself.
Solitary group is you're doing it by yourself, which is kind of where I'm at right now. But I do have a backup group that if I
Okay.
need something.
Okay. So that you just do your own rituals by yourself.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now you said you said your son was interested in this. How old is he?
He's 27,
Okay.
26, 27, 30, and 31. My
Okay.
4 kids.
Are they all interested or?
My oldest daughter kind of does more Buddhism. My second oldest daughter kind of does her own thing. My youngest daughter actually goes to circle with me. She's interested in it as well. My son kind of, he bounces around a bit. So sometimes he'll go to church when he wants, he'll go to church. Sometimes he'll do whatever. But he wears a pentacle. He wears a Thor's hammer because we have different gods and goddesses from different cultures: Viking, Norse gods, Egyptian gods and goddesses, and so we kind of have the whole gamut. Celtic.
Okay.
So he kind of bounces in between. That gives him comfort. That's where he wants to be, which is great.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I raised my kids to be open-minded.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's interesting. Now, I know Buddhism is more of a
State of mind.
yeah. It's not a religion. It's
Right.
it's a practice, and that. So
Which is hard to do at times in today's society. It gets hard to do, to kind of you know, like think like a Buddha and say, okay, that's, because sometimes people can push buttons really hard.
Mm-hmm. Now I've read a little bit about it, but I haven't gotten into it that deeply. um, what is it in particular that drew you to this way of life, this way of thinking?
This whole, as a whole way of thinking,
Buddhism. Buddhism.
Buddhism.
Yeah.
Um, I try to practice mindfulness, which I said, like I said, it can be very tricky. I'm human,
Mm-hmm.
subject to my human frailties and my belief system. And when I try to go back to, okay, disengage from an event that's making you upset or anything, and you try to disengage, question what's going on, why you're having a reaction, kind of like that. You just, it, I try to be more peaceful, but I am frail. I am subject to being human.
And that's funny how we are that way. Yeah.
We are, yeah, we are human.
Is Are any of these witchcraft, paganism, druidry, and that are any of these? How do I want to word this? Could someone from a regular Orthodox religion also be into this, or do
Oh
they
yeah,
clash?
I've actually met couples who, I don't remember which one is which, but I think the husband was a priest in a Christian religion and the wife was a witch.
Oh my goodness.
And they're wonderful people, absolutely wonderful. But yeah, I have friends who were raised Catholic who went into witchcraft when they were like, well, this doesn't make sense to me, and the witchcraft does, or
Mm-hmm.
this particular thing does. It makes more sense to me. So, but yeah, we have different groups of people who, maybe married to a witch and the husband's a Catholic or this or that. And then there's some people that are still into Christianity who will dabble, well, not, I can't say dabble, but who will have a belief system as well. We're human.
So it's kind of melding the two, so that what
What
one
works for the individual.
right.
Yep.
And if you can't find the answers here, you can find them here and still work together.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Interesting. Now, did I meet you at a spiritualist church or in a?
Yeah, I joined Pine Grove.
Okay.
I joined Pine Grove over the summer, which I find very fascinating. I haven't gone to any of your church services,
Okay.
but I did go to the tree where we were talking to the trees, and I did go to Red Basket Circle, which was incredible.
And I
Both of
think
them
you
were
came
really
to
incredible.
my mediumship class for a while.
Yeah, I went to one mediumship
Yeah,
class.
and
I
then you
haven't.
had to go to, and you had to work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
schedule is
Yeah.
like all over
Yeah.
the board right now,
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to do anything.
So if you've been to Pine Grove, have you been to any of their services at Pine Grove?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay.
No, like I said, right now my schedules are
Yeah.
so all over the board. I don't know where I'm coming or going, working or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, Now, have you ever had anybody in any of your circles that that might have been a little bit too intense, and they were asked to either slow down or move or get out?
I've had, we're, like I said, we're human just like everybody else. We've had people leave our group because of, it's a very open group where we allow other people to come in. And we've had few people that would leave because there's just too much, too overwhelming energies, or they're too negative in their energy. And we've had people actually leave the group. Um, I still talk to a couple of them,
Mm-hmm.
and they've told me a couple of times that they had to leave because of just conflict. But we're human. We're human just like everybody else.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. I just think it's interesting because, as I say, we've had. I mean, there's such a stigma connected with, especially witchcraft, that I was just wondering how many people come in with a preconceived notion as to
Yeah,
what witchcraft
yeah.
is.
We get them too. We get people like that too. I mean, we get people that say, "Oh, you sacrifice animals." No, honey, I hold animals sacred.
Yeah.
You know, I just learned that my 2-year-old puppy has got an enlarged heart.
Mm.
We don't know how long he's going to be around. I been doing Reiki with him. I had shot a video where I was doing a singing bowl, and he was just sitting watching me do the singing bowl.
Mm.
No, I hold animals and everything sacred. I don't sacrifice anything except for maybe my sanity trying to deal with everything.
But you don't have blood sacrifices.
No, no,
I
no.
think a
I'm
lot of
sure
people
there's
may,
somebody
yeah.
out there that think we do, but
Well, I think a lot of people confuse witchcraft and Satanism.
they do. They do. They really do. And it's sad because you're missing out on a lot. I mean, we don't do all of that. The groups that I've been a part of, I have met some darker people that are like, but for me, it's hard to say because a lot of people take things the wrong way. I believe more of in a gray area because nature, she's gray. She's neither black nor white. She's very gray because we have like uh, forest fire. She burns off acreage and she kills off animals, but yet then she regrows
Mm-hmm.
and her animals repopulate. So for you know, there are people out there who go crazy. I have had people. One lady, I was wearing a pentacle just after I started getting into the craft. I was wearing I have a black pentacle ring, and she freaked out on me. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! You're a witch! You're a witch! You're a witch! Ah! I just looked at her like, um, um, yeah, okay. Only witches wear it, and people's concepts are you wear your pentacle this way, you're a bad witch. You wear your
Oh,
pentacle that way, you're a good witch.
uh-huh.
And it's like, I wear my pentacle however I want to wear it.
Yeah.
You wear whatever you want to wear, however you want to wear it. So I love how people, and that's another preconceived ideas about what they think we are. But that's not what we are. I mean, they're out there. Don't get me wrong. We have
Mm.
good and bad. You have good and bad in
Oh, yeah.
Christianity as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Um, I thought of something. What, when you first started, when you first got into, what did you get into first? I mean, did you get into, did one lead to another?
Yeah, pretty much everything kind of snowballs into it. I started collecting a lot of crystals. I love
Yeah.
crystals. Um, I still have my very first pentacle, which I kind of twisted and I'd like to fix, but it's just like one thing kind of snowballs into another, and then you kind of meet more people, and then you see more, and then then you basically, like you join a group, and that's pretty much how it all works. Just
Yeah.
we're very similar to regular people in how people go to churches and
What about spells? You mentioned spells.
spells. Yep.
Yeah. Now, how do they work and do they work?
Um, if you put the intent out there, and it has to be for good. Um, lately it's funny because I've been working, like I said, with the bowls, and I've been getting back into my chakras. And one night I couldn't sleep, and I could feel Mother Earth needing things. So, kind of a spell. I took my red chakra, I brought it through my hands, and then I envisioned, because we use a lot of visualization, I envisioned the earth. And then I kind of ran my hands and wrapped her with the red light and try to bring some healing to her and to the people. Because right now we really need,
Mm.
we all need healing. We've had a really bad, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of energies going crazy. But I felt like that was something that I needed to do.
Well, that's not much different than people doing healing, just healing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Picture the world. You're healing the earth. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we're not much different from
Yeah.
anybody else.
No, the what other kind of spells do you do?
Candle magic,
What is that?
um, where you get a candle of the color of, oh gosh, for money. Money is always a good one. Usually a green candle. I usually get the ones that are already anointed with the oils. Usually it's, oh, I can't think right now, but usually it's anointed with an oil. You pray, you light the candle, you burn the candle, you put your intent out there. Basic, pretty
Mm.
simple. I mean, there's some people that will do more elaborate spells, more elaborate with an altar and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. But my time, I just, and we
Right.
even have a quickie um, candle spell where you use birthday candles.
Oh,
You anoint it with the oil that you want and you quickly burn it. And you put your spell out there, you put your intent, you know?
you said you get the candles that are already anointed with the oil. Where do you get them?
Different pagan shops.
Oh, okay.
There's Pandora's Box in Norwich,
Okay.
Mystical
Yeah.
Horizons in East Lyme, or actually Flanders.
Yep.
Anywhere online,
Okay.
wherever.
Yeah.
Yep.
What other kind of spells do you have?
Oh, there's a bunch of stuff. It's hard to explain some of them.
You can't send out a love spell for somebody.
If you make it a generalized love spell, you don't put a specific person because then that's bad karma.
And it's also interfering with their free will.
Exactly. And that's another thing is we don't appreciate, we don't like, you don't interfere with other people's free will, which is also bad karma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are there classes?
Yeah, there's classes, there's tarot reading classes, there's spell casting classes, there's candle magic classes. Um, there's classes like everywhere.
Okay.
There's classes all over. I've taken a bunch. I've done a bunch of healing classes where we did psychic healing. I've gone to the third rank of Reiki, so I have that. My Reiki master was Kathy Valentine, and I know they call them something differently now, but when I was going, that's what I called her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, there's classes all over and everything.
Hmm. Interesting. Are they online or are they in person?
They're online. Before the plague, they were
Yeah.
in person. I've done a lot in person. We even have people who sing a lot pagan songs. Wendy Rule, Kellyanna, Sharon. I can't think of her name. Love her dearly. But yeah,
Yeah.
we have. They're out there. It's just you know, Google around, look around, you'll find them.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Oh. Now, do you teach any of this to your family?
Um, no, my kids pretty much do whatever they want. Um, they like I said, I've taken my youngest daughter with me to the circle. I took my son that one time. My other two were kind of like, whatever. They do their own thing. Like, okay, whatever.
I know.
You know, you can lead them, but you know, they got to do what they
I
want to
know.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. Now, how long have you been into this?
Um, well, from a reality standpoint, like the early 90s, but all my life I've been always interested in other things, other paranormal, um, history. Absolutely love history. Love working. I worked a few times in historical home. I worked at the Ebenezer Avery, which my grandmother was in Avery.
Mm.
Um, I worked at the Shaw's Mansion for a little while, but I love it. Something that has always drawn me is the history and being a part of, like, kind of knowing it
Mhm.
and like, oh yeah, that shouldn't be there because that wasn't there at that time. You know?
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Um, well, there's so much history around in this part of the country,
Yeah.
and
There's history. I went to Sedona for 5 days for the spiritual group through Mystical Horizons, and there I had like I found out why I have two holes in my knees.
oh,
It was a past life.
really?
Yeah, which is another thing I believe in is past
Yeah.
lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was standing in Cathedral Rock area. There was a beautiful water area. I started chanting, and my knees, I'm standing and my knees started hurting really bad. I saw something red fly through the trees, and then it came to me that I was shot in the knees running away from the redcoat, running away from the military. I met a woman there, a native woman, on my last day there, and we just kept looking at each other going, I know you. And she would look at me and she'd be like, and then finally I couldn't stand it anymore. I got up from the table and I walked over to her and I said, I know you. And she goes, I know you too. I said, and we hugged. And it was from a past life.
Wow.
It
But
was
that
just
doesn't happen that
incredible.
often. Yeah.
No, but
No.
we were brothers then, back way back. And
Oh,
this is in a past life
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
So I mean, too many weird experiences have happened to not, not be a believer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Now, in this area, part of the country, well, of course, there's history all over,
All
but
over
I
the
mean,
world,
yeah.
yes.
But in this part of the country, especially and I've been sitting here trying to think of the name of it, and I can't. Gunjiwam.
Ganjiwa, I have been dying to go there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but it's closed now.
I know,
Yeah,
I know, I know. I've
that would
tried
be
to.
interesting. That would be interesting to go to.
Yeah, we went to when the kids were little. My ex-husband and I, we went to the American Stonehenge in North Salem, New Hampshire.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that was an incredible,
Really?
very incredible. Yeah, I just wish the kids were older
Mm-hmm.
because my son kept picking up rocks and sticks. And it's like, reading the signs, you put the stick down, put the stick down, put the rock down. So it was more of a distraction. I'd like to go back and see it for myself again
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
without the kids distracting me.
Yeah. Now, have you picked up any other energy around here, or do you know of any other interesting as far as the history is concerned? Because there's a lot of native in this area,
Oh yeah. I
and
mean, oh yeah. I when I worked at Foxwoods, when they were building everything, I would hear the ancestors crying and I would hear the drums.
oh,
and they were crying. And I'm like, okay, but I won't say that to them, and I shouldn't have said that. But, you know, I heard a lot of tears, a lot of tears. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this area, and I'd like to have more time to explore it and get into it. And that's where I'd love to be, is just exploring history, exploring the paranormal, exploring the energy areas.
Have you been to Salem, Matt?
Yes, many times. Many times we went to Salem.
No, as far as witchcraft is concerned, did you pick up anything there?
When I went into the cemetery, I would always pick up certain areas in the graveyard. Finally, one time when I went up there, there was actually a tour guide there. And I started to approach him, and then you have the tourist come barreling up from the other side, and he got his attention first. And I'm like, all right, I'll wait you out. But once he was done, he moved on, and the tour guide knew I wanted to talk to him. So he came over, and I said, okay, what happened over here in this area? He goes, interesting that you should mention that, because that is where the judge was buried, or somebody was buried. The other family wanted that spot, so they dug them up and moved that family and put that other family there.
Oh my gosh.
I have been in different areas in graveyards where I've sensed where there's a disturbance. One time I was in a graveyard with my brother, and I tend to walk into a graveyard, drive by a graveyard, have spirits come sit in my car with me for a while, and I'm like, hi, how are you? What's going on? Okay, and then you can kind of feel that electric, that rubber band snap, and they go snap back into their area. It's like, you can visit, but you can't stay. You know, I've had another person who was a psychic. I was in a graveyard, and I tend to draw a lot of spirits coming at me. So I talk to them, I feel them out. This other psychic was there, and I'm not sure who he was, so I'm not going to say, but it was a male. And he looks at me and he's like this. He's like, do you realize you have a lot of spirits around you? And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm talking to them. And he goes, okay. Like, thanks, dude. Yeah. Like, yeah, I know, they're here. I'm talking to them. It was one of, I think it was in Jewett City. He supposedly murdered his girlfriend, and he was buried outside of the cemetery, you know, but they were still in the same general area. So, but yeah, it was fun. You know, I had an incident once when I was at the Denison Homestead, which I'm descended from through my grandmother, and my cousin was with me. She does historical reenactments, incredible woman, very incredible. We were getting ready to shoot, because I went to college for communications. We were getting ready to shoot a thing for my capstone. She's getting her makeup on and her gown, and like I said, historically accurate. And as we're talking upstairs, we're the only two people in the house. I'm hearing boots walking toward the door. I looked at her, she looked at me, she goes, that happens all the time. I said, okay. And I had to, for my own safety, or my own sake, I got up and looked, and there was nobody there. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's one of the family members, no big deal. But yeah, throughout my life, I've had weird things happen. I've sensed different areas around here, different disturbances, or, you know, things that have happened. And some that were extremely too close to home to even kind of talk about publicly, because it was
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
it very too close to home. But it was just something about two family members that I knew was going to happen since I was a little girl, and now they're no longer with us, they're in spirit.
Okay, yeah. Now, do the rest of the family know what you're into?
Yeah. And when I was growing up, my mother was like, shh, because I would talk to the pregnant babies, and while the babies were inside, I would go up to pregnant women and talk to the baby. And I still do that periodically. I did that while my grandmother was crossing. The nurse was standing at the thing, and she's like, oh, she was on her 4th child. And I said, may I do Reiki? She goes, oh, please, I don't care. And she slid right down the thing as I was talking to the baby. But my mother doesn't really, she's scared of it.
Is she?
She's scared of it because she kind of is the same way.
But no, she's still here. Your mother?
Yeah, she's still here. Today would have been my father passed away in 2016. Today he passed over. So he crossed over. So
yeah, okay. So your mother doesn't want to talk about it.
No, she, can't be bothered. Whatever, mother. It scares her. It scares some people, because you're talking to somebody who's crossed over and they're like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you get that too.
This has been fascinating, Carleen. Yeah. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed it.
We're not the hags. I was going to wear one of my hats, but I'm like, no, I have to wear my headset. My nose isn't green and I don't have molds on it. And my skin color's not green.
So you're a person, a regular person.
Human. I'm human. Who just happens to believe that there's more out there and that things, the universe, and there's male, there's female deities, and
It's been fascinating, yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you too.
This has been great.
Thank you.
Well, so when you get into more, if you find out more, and that would be interesting for people, let me know, because I'd really like to get into more of what you are, who you are, and what you believe, because I think this is all fascinating. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe in a lot of different things, and it's kind of, I'm too open-minded, so I tend to get scattered with what I want to do, which is why I haven't been able to do what I want to do, because I get, oh, this is really great. Oh, that's really great. And then it's kind of like, And like I said, I'm human.
Yeah. Amazing.
Isn't it amazing?
Oh, thank you so much, Carleen. This has been wonderful.
Lynn.
I really appreciate it.
Oh no,
very
thank you.
interesting.
Had fun. But yeah, we're human just like the rest of everybody. We have our ups and our downs, our good days, our bad days.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, thank you again, and I will be talking to you again.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.